Round of applause. Thanks. Is it okay if I just project? That's all right. All right, one of the things you got to do when you come into these is to know your audience. And so, if you'll excuse me for just one moment.
I'm going.
All right. What time means innovation. Thank you very much, everyone, for having me here, Gabe and Craig for coordinating. I'm the manager of open government at the City of Guelph. Kind of really interesting that a lot of folks said that they're interested in data, which is why they came here. If I can ask, people that said that, was it because you heard that there was someone talking about open government that you made the connection with open data? Is that yes, no? So.
But we're glad you're here.
Say again?
We're glad you're here.
I appreciate that. No, you have to be comfortable in the silence. So one of the things that I'm going to talk very briefly about, what do you want me to do? 15 or 20 minutes?
You got 15, 20.
15 or 20, okay. One of the things that we are doing in Guelph with open government is redefining what open government means. To a lot of, so it's different, municipal level, provincial level, federal level, internationally, everyone's got their own definitions. What a lot of people think about is two different things. One, open data. Open government is just throwing stuff online so that hackers can hack it. And a lot of people, on the other hand, think about political transparency. They think about politicians and are they being open? And both of those things are true, but they're both bits on the side. In the municipal context, in Ontario at least, cities are deeply infused into your day-to-day life. 9 out of 10 of the things that either you love or piss you off when you leave your house in the morning are city services. And so the level of intersection that we have with your day-to-day life is a really critical thing to look at. And not only just, oh, those things are the services that affect my life, but we have citizens' expectations are that they want to participate more. We expect to be able to pull something out of our pocket and influence the services that affect us. So in Guelph, we are broadening the definition of open government from just the narrow bit about political transparency or a small bit about open data to look at the more broader experience that citizens have when they interact with us. Not just are we being transparent, but are our programs designed in such a way that transparency and accountability are infused into them by design. They're not individual decisions. It's how we're built, and it's how you perceive us, and interact with us, etc. So there's a number of different planks here, and I think one of the reasons why Gabe wanted to have me here today was to talk about a program called Civic Solutions Accelerator that we're launching on Monday. I'm going to get to that in about 5 minutes, but I'll just build up a bit of the context for why that's something that we're doing. So what we're really trying to do is try to think more like a technology company that actually gives a shit about the needs of its users. We are, as a city, I can say shit here, right? Yes. Yeah. Love it. By night, I swear. So, as cities, we're really well designed for 1995 era problems. Do you need help reinstalling Windows 95? Call us, because we can help you. We are behind in terms of catching up with what technology can enable us to do, and when you apply that to the dozens and dozens and hundreds of ways or whatever that city services affect your life and how you might want to interact with them, be it accessing a service, an opportunity to participate, or just getting information about something, there's a lot of potential there. We're sitting on a mountain of potential, and that's why civic tech is booming in the way that it is, because the wave is just finally crashing on the shores of government. And local government is where the biggest potential lies because of that infusion in your day-to-day. And because most people live in cities. So, when I say you have to be comfortable with silences, it's both when people don't answer your questions and when you forget what you're going to say. So I'll collect my thoughts. So we're looking at open government not as just a, hey, let's throw more stuff online or whatever, but as a transformative force for our organization. We want it to be, and it is becoming, the platform through which we're modernizing our services to give citizens a great experience when they interact with us. Whatever it is they might want to do. I mentioned it before, access to service, get information about something, an opportunity to participate, not just a rubber stamp kind of participation or presenting the council, but meaningful opportunities to shape the services effective day-to-day lives. A couple things that we've done. I've got this whole presentation that I did today at a conference, and I did the hour and a quarter version, but I'll see if I can put it into 4 minutes. We've had a lot of trouble, just to give you one tangible example of what I mean by service modernization, great experience, and transparency, accountability, participation by design. So we've had a lot of problems. Parks are hyper-local, one of the most local services you can get. You have a neighborhood park, you love it, you go to it, etc. So we've had a lot of, not a lot maybe, but people complaining about the maintenance of our parks. I have a tweet that I should throw up in the deck about the guy who wrote us. He said, the City of Guelph clearly doesn't care about the status of the parks. I'm playing ball and the grass is up to my knees. This is ridiculous. One, he assumed we don't care. Two, he's assuming that we made a mistake and didn't cut the grass. But the reality is that parks were scheduled to be cut on certain intervals, and he was probably just there on that day. So there was a lot of opportunity there, just looking at that particular case study, to unpack that situation by putting his needs first. You know, you might have heard about citizens first as a perspective in terms of how cities are trying to change their services. What that basically means is we don't look at how can we solve this problem by what are our needs as bureaucrats, but what is this guy's needs when he's standing out there ankle deep in the outfield complaining about the grass. And importantly, he complained on Twitter, which meant we didn't even know what park he was talking about because he gave us no information. And the third bit is that we replied a day later with a link to a form that said, can you fill out this form and tell us blah, blah, blah. And he wrote back and said, it's over now, too bad, and he was pretty frustrated. So a couple issues there. How did he report his issue? One. What do we do and when with respect to the parks? What, managing expectations, what the quality of our services and the frequency, clarity about what we do. 3, the issue reporting mechanism. He chose social media, which is not particularly effective because if you want to actually trigger something getting done, it's a great place to scream into, but unless it's coming into a pretty sophisticated CRM system on the city side, which most non-major cities don't have, then we got nothing to go on, and we're playing cat and mouse to figure out where you are and try to fix the problem. So we did a couple of things. We, first of all, we wanted to make our grass cutting schedules public. So then he would know, oh wait, it was actually just supposed to be cut tomorrow, or oh shit, they missed it. Here's a real problem. Let's deal with this. But the whole cut crew system ran on paper, all of their scheduling. So there's no way we could just digitize that. So what we did was we worked with the local developer to create a new app for the cut crews to use that meant that it knows where they are and they just put cut, not cut, if not cut because it was raining, coming back later. That's it. Tap, 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 and then they're done and move on. That pushes directly to our open data portal. So every 15 minutes or whatever, it'll refresh, and then people can go and hover over the map, their mouse, to say, oh, the ball diamond in my favorite park was cut yesterday and scheduled to be cut in a week from now, approximately. And then the third aspect is the issue reporting. Probably all heard about Pink Street or See Quick Fix or that kind of thing. We worked with a smaller company out of the States called 301 GIS, which is definitely the worst name out of the three. And it's pretty much the same thing. It's just mobile issue reporting in your pocket where you pull out your phone, it knows you're in the park. Click report issue, grass not cut, done. So those 3 things together are kind of the full story. We looked at how the service operates, and through the process of modernizing it, creating this better app for the cut crews to use, we were able to provide transparency for the public to understand what we do and when in terms of when their favorite parts are going to be cut. That enables them to hold us accountable for mistakes that we actually make instead of mistakes that they think that they think we make because they don't trust us. So this guy assumed we made a mistake when he complained to us. We might have, but we might not. We don't know. In any case, we'll actually know if we made a mistake now, and we can deal with those problems. And then third was the issue reporting, which we got through in GIS. So with the same number of thumb taps that it took him to complain, he could have actually created a work order in the grass cutting crew department. So, so those are the three bits, but then the biggest kicker as far as this opportunity is that that process of modernizing the service, focusing on the citizen experience, creates wild internal efficiencies. So now that we've done this, every person on the cut crew is going to save 45 minutes per day in data entry that they had to do before, because the whole thing was running on paper. So it's a triple win all around in terms of how we're approaching this. Open government is open data, it is political openness, but it's also a mindset and a way of solving problems that puts citizens' needs at the top of the pyramid and working backwards from there to harness current technology to create great outcomes. And so that transparency and accountability and participation are not just, bullshit that people say because it's so easy to say. We're going to be transparent. We're going to be the most accountable whatever in whatever. No, what are you going to do about that? This is what we're doing about it. This is an actual process that's creating real results for people in terms of the needs that they have. So, how are we going about doing that? That's the big picture about what open government is. It's a lot bigger than just transparency or whatever. One of the reasons I wanted to come here is because I want you all to move to Guelph. Property is more affordable, very walkable, the downtown is vibrant. I was saying on the phone with Gabe the other week that I would love to have one of these groups in town, because I think one of the things that would, not to speak ill of our brethren at the City of Toronto, one of the things that can really unleash the potential of all of these amazing people that I have the privilege of speaking to is a willing municipal partner that is ready to open the doors and say, let's do this thing. And I'm seeing a head nod and a smile, which tells me that I'm right. So we are trying to be conventional where it's appropriate, mildly conventional where it's appropriate, and then mildly unconventional, wildly unconventional is what I meant to say, where it suits our needs. Because we're a relatively small city compared to places like Toronto, New York, Boston, these places that have tons of resources to throw at these kinds of things. So we're all into the civic hacking and the people, what did I say before? People with skills who care about stuff. We like this kind of stuff. Give you one example. A kid made an open data app off of the stuff in our portal that will send you a text the night before or call you and tell you that it's your green cart and your gray cart this week for garbage. I don't know about you guys, but I look at my neighbors every week. I work for the city, and I don't even know. So he did this great little hackathon app, and he offered it to us, so we licensed it, and now we're going to build it out with a bit more functionality, and then release it as an official city thing. We're open to all that kind of stuff. So I guess part of my message is like, over here, guys, we are really interested to see all the breakout sessions later and the different kinds of things, the projects that you're working on, because we're small enough that I'll start with the big side. We're big enough that our issues are just as complicated as any other place. We've got transit problems, we've got housing issues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We've got all those same issues. So we're big enough that it's complicated and therefore interesting. But we're small enough that we can do stuff. And we can do stuff fast. We can pull those levers better. So I guess I'm saying, let's keep talking, because I didn't just come here to just, give you my spiel and say isn't Guelph great and then go home. I'm hoping that some tangible stuff comes out of this. I'm hoping that over the coming weeks, months, whatever, you'll reach out to me, share some ideas that you've got. If you've got something that's playing in the realm of improving municipal services, let's talk, because we're open to all kinds of creative stuff, and full disclosure, we need help because we don't have a lot of resources. I'm the only guy in the city that does this. I work with tons of people. Our IT department's amazing. And, I've got a lot of great partners across various departments. But I'm an enabler. I'm not a one-stop, shop. We don't have huge money to throw at, big custom development projects. In any case, so we're open-minded. We're really interested in this kind of thing, which brings us to the Accelerator. This guy with the logo. Patrick?
Yeah.
Okay, nice to meet you. Has anybody here ever tried to bid on a city contract or get work with the city? Jay? Okay, did you get it?
No.
No.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
It wasn't easy though.
Okay. Seize on that. Generally speaking, Jay, it's pretty hard for smaller businesses and entrepreneurs and startups to get city contracts. The procurement process, procurement's a government word for buying stuff. The buying stuff process, typically, if it's over 20 grand, which is where all the need is, if it's over 20 grand, you got to go for a request for proposals, and those kind of things have built-in criteria in the assessment that favors people and companies that have done work with cities before. That narrows the scope right there in terms of the people. Even if you've got the best damn idea, if you're a guy or a gal who's just starting your company, you're probably not going to get the job. So that's one of the problems. I'm going to talk about the problems, I'm talking about how that's going to solve it, and then we'll go from there. So one of the problems is really hard for small business entrepreneurs, a certain class of innovators to access city work. The second is that we don't know a lot of stuff. The world is moving extremely quickly under our feet as far as the pace of technology, and the way that procurement works is premised on the notion that we've got a problem and we can spec out in intricate detail the nature of the solution. Gentleman nodding his head. That's not reasonable because we don't know what we don't know. 5-minute warning. We don't know what we don't know about what's out there. And if you've ever heard, through whatever, the general story of a government dumping money into a project because maybe more money can fix it and it's not doing what we were hoping it was going to do, in all likelihood it's because they didn't fully understand the problem that they were trying to solve, so they wrote the RFP loose, which meant they got bad bids, and they still locked into one, and then they were handcuffed to that supplier, and all they could do was throw more money at it. So generally speaking, there's potential with a certain kind of complex problem, especially as it relates to new technology, which is the space we want to play in. There's a potential for the way that our systems work to produce really horrible outcomes that nobody's happy with. And it costs a lot of money and everybody's pissed off. Vendors pissed off, clients pissed off, eventually citizens are pissed off. So that's not good. So this is actually, those two problems what the Accelerator is designed to fix. So we've sourced problems from a bunch of our different departments. And we are putting them out in an RFP, not with specs, but as problems. This is a challenge competition, but we've hacked the RFP tool to use it, use the evil tool for good. It's not evil, it works really well in some situations, but we're trying to do innovative work within the confines of what's available to us. So essentially what we're doing is we're releasing an RFP on Monday, guelph.ca/bids and tenders, that has 3 challenge statements in it. One related to our water department around generating real-time water data off of dumb meters, i.e. just not smart meters. 2 around the statutory notices that our planning department and our clerk's department have to put out. You've ever seen those things? Meslin's big on this about, there's a building going up over here, or moving this sidewalk a foot to the left, come to this planning meeting, tell us what you think, blah, blah. We have to put the legislation says we have to put those in the newspaper. The Guelph Mercury, our only real paper, just closed down. So it's getting harder and harder for us to do. So we've got a challenge there around a better new system to get those notices out, because we want people to actually know about those things and come out and participate. And third one is around our parking and bylaw departments. Basically, we've got a beautiful downtown. I'm really simplifying here, but really busy on a lot of parking. Wouldn't it be nice if you knew where the spot was instead of having to drive around for 10 blocks and get frustrated and leave? That's the application side. And on the enforcement side, again, scarce bylaw resources who deal with a lot more than just parking. And if we can direct them more efficiently, that would make it a lot easier for us to get your tickets. That's the part I don't say. We just say we really love to allocate our bylaws. So we're putting up 3 challenge statements, and it's an opportunity for winners to embed within our departments to further develop their solution. It's extraordinary customer discovery, is what it is. We're assessing winners on 2 major criteria. 1, how good is the idea? Is it going to solve the problem, the challenge that we put out? And 2, does this entity, be it an individual or a company, have the business chops to pull it off? Because the word accelerator is there for a couple of reasons. 1, the point of it is to accelerate the development of solution-specific problems, almost a literal name. But 2 is, in a conventional sense, of business accelerator centers. This is about enabling the creation of new civic tech businesses, or allowing other ones to adapt existing products to the municipal market. So 3-month embed period and then a demo day at the end. And we've got a variety of different options, all of which are good. We can say that was fun, we all walk away, and the company fully owns what they created. We have the right to use it in Guelph, but they can go develop it further, sell it anywhere, whatever. 2, we can agree to keep working together on a kind of help me, help you basis. Or 3 is we put some money on the table, and we really go big on it. The assumption there is that your company really wants to go to market. It can't do it without us investing, and if you still see mutual benefit, then we're going to go there. All of those things are good. So that's the quick story about the Accelerator. Basically, we're trying to be an R&D lab for civic tech companies. It's launching on the 20th, which is Monday, and I think it would be awesome if you all checked it out. One thing, I'm getting the nod, so the hook's going to come in a second. One thing I want to say is, if you do check it out, don't let the language in the RFP scare you, because the reason we used an RFP was so that we could actually make a purchase, 1, if we wanted to, and 2, there's a thing in there called colloquially the think back clause that basically means if you win it, you can then sell to any Ontario municipality without any competitive process. So that's awesome, because it opens up the entire Ontario market, not just the City of Guelph as a potential client, without having to go through another tender. So there's reasons why we've used this tool, but it's an old, rigid thing that uses scary, bureaucratic language, and so this is the first time we're doing this. It's a pilot project. We've got a couple things. So just don't let that language scare you. If you sift through it, there's awesome stuff in there. We just had to use this weird vehicle to accomplish our goals. So we're hoping to do it differently next time, but testing the limits of this, whole new thing for cities, so we're going with it as we have. This gentleman would love to get up and say something. So, I'm happy to, what are we doing, questions?
We got time for 2 questions.
Okay, sure, whatever.
2 questions. So, any eager beavers? We'll take one humorous off first.
So I have a little bit of experience with procurement law.
Yeah.
But I guess my question is for people who don't have a law background, so
Yeah.
like myself. Do you have like an FAQ session or some way people can help draft a proposal? Because I know like I haven't worked with RFPs, they're pretty complicated
Yeah.
from a
Yeah.
law point of view.
Yeah, so what I was saying with the language being complicated, that's the stuff that we couldn't change, that we weren't allowed to change. But we had total control over what we asked you to do, the information we asked you to submit. And so the actual process itself, if you're serious about this business, you will have most of this information already. In terms of, what you understand about your market, lots of different things like that. So yeah, we have to use this archaic tool, but we've made the actual application process quite a bit smooth in terms of what we expect of people to submit.
And we got one more. Proximity wins the day.
So I'm really interested about the embed portion of
Yeah.
the RFP. So under some RFP rules, and I don't know how you like it, I'm interested in how you got around it. If you embed with the opponent or the group that puts out the RFP, and there's others competing with that,
Yeah.
how do we make sure that the information is shared evenly across? Because you need to if you're have 4 people bidding on something, there's rules around
Yeah,
they should
absolutely.
have equal, you know,
Yeah.
opportunity for the
Yeah,
information.
everyone has to have equal access to the same information at the same time. The embed comes after, sorry, I should have clarified that.
Oh, okay.
People who win get to embed.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and so so when I say people who win, they're the ones who sign the thing at the end, and that's what enables the kind of purpose if what we go create is helped to everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. I was at a conference today, I totally cleaned out the cards, so my name is Andy Best, andy.best at guelph.ca. If you want to write it down, if you want to shoot me a note, please do. Remind me who you are, what you're working on. I would love to keep talking. Andy.best at guelph.ca, audio business card, or catch me before I leave in this chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So that's really freaking exciting. The City of Guelph is, I'm going to say, a good 2 to 3 years ahead of most other municipalities here. Hopefully in 2 to 3 years we'll see more activity like this in the civic tech space. Because I'm sure, as we all heard in the introduction, some of us would love to get paid to.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
$dollar bills, yeah. Cash rules, everything around me. Now we're going to go to